Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube NFL prediction segment, I'm going to be giving you my preview and picks for week 2 of the 2015 NFL season. Now, the first game in the itinerary is going to be Kansas City at home with the Denver Broncos. Now, I'm actually going to take Kansas City at home. Now, Kansas City, to me, looked very sharp in their 27-20 win against Houston. Quarterback Alex Smith, very proficient and efficient. 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And you look at the Denver Broncos, it's almost like the quarterback. I know it's early, but almost the antithesis of Kansas City. Peyton Manning had a 59.9 passer rating. I'm wondering if Manning's skills might be deteriorating maybe just a little bit. I know it's just one game, or maybe that injury is impacting him more than he's willing to acknowledge, or the Broncos organization. He had 1 interception. He didn't throw any touchdowns. But on the positive side, Denver is number 1 in total defense, so this should be a close game. But I think Kansas City is just a little bit better right now and a little bit sharper. I'm going to go with the Chiefs to win this one at home. Next game, I'm going to take the Carolina Panthers at home over the Houston Texans. Now, Carolina is number 1 in scoring defense. I know it's early, folks. They allowed 9 points in their win last week. And they're also number 2 in kick return average. Houston is number 5 in kick return average. So that's going to be pivotal, I think, in this particular game, even though it is just week 2. Now, if Houston can't win at home versus the Chiefs, is it conceivable to think they're going to win on the road versus Carolina? I'm going to take Carolina at home. Now, Pittsburgh, I'm going to take them at home over the San Francisco 49ers. Now, Pittsburgh, what else is new? Quarterback Ben Roethlisberger is number 4 in passing yards at 351, even though it's just one game. Antonio Brown had a great game. He had 133 yards, I believe, in as far as passing yards go, and receiving yards, I should say. San Francisco, really, they did look impressive in that week 1 win versus Minnesota. I know Minnesota, maybe some people think, is a lackluster team right now, but San Francisco did compile 230 yards rushing. They're the number 1 rushing team in the NFL right now. And Carlos Hyde, the running back, amassed 168 yards rushing. It was very impressive. But I think Pittsburgh being at home, I believe they will win this game. San Francisco might be okay, but I don't think they're an upper echelon team, and I think Pittsburgh still may very well be. I like Pittsburgh at home. Now, next game, I'm going to take the New Orleans Saints at home over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, New Orleans, they've won 7 consecutive games against the Buccaneers. They haven't really dominated them. The 2 games they won were very tight last season, and Tampa Bay might still give them somewhat of a battle. But I think when you look at it, you're talking about rookie quarterback Jameis Winston going into New Orleans against Drew Brees, and Drew Brees is, like, to me, a first-round ballot Hall of Famer as far as post NFL career goes. And the last the 2 losses that Tampa Bay endured to New Orleans were by combined 9 points last season. But Tampa Bay, as anemic as their offense looked, they might actually make this a competitive game. It is a divisional game, but I still like the Saints to prevail at home. Now, the next game, I'm going to take the Detroit Lions on the road over the Minnesota Vikings. Yes, I know Minnesota's at home. I know they could be a formidable team at home. They were swept by the Lions last season. Now, this was without running back Adrian Peterson. Now, Adrian Peterson will likely play this week, but I'm just saying, barring any injury during between now and in that game. But he amassed 31 yards rushing on 10 carries. He was really rather ineffective last week. And now Detroit, they did lose, but they actually were able to put a good amount of points on the board. I like what Detroit's done, even though it's just 1 week. number 3 in the NFL in tackles with 80, but they're number 32 in total defense. So if there's anything for Minnesota to be optimistic about, that is it. Detroit, I still like them to emerge victorious in this one. They have beaten Minnesota 3 out of the last 4 times. So Detroit on the road, I'm picking. Now, the next game, I'm going to take the Arizona Cardinals on the road to defeat the Chicago Bears. Now, Arizona, they were so far, they're the number 1 run defense in the NFL. They gave up 54 yards last week. They have their aspirations set on a division title. Now, Chicago, now granted, their running game was good last week in a loss to Green Bay. They gained 189 yards. And quarterback Jay Cutler, though, is a little bit erratic and sporadic. Who knows which one is going to show up this particular week. The team is number 2 in rushing offense, so it'd be an interesting battle between the rushing of Chicago's offense and the run defense of Arizona. So something's got to give. And I think it'll be more likely that the running game of Chicago might be contained in this one, enough for Arizona to win, perhaps in a close game. Now I'm taking, of course, to Arizona, I'm taking in that one. Now, the next game, a little bit of an upset, but I'm going to actually go with Buffalo at home to prevail over the New England Patriots. Buffalo obliterated Indianapolis last week, as many of you may know, 27-14. And Indy is considered an upper echelon team. Now, New England, interestingly enough, right now, despite their victory over Pittsburgh last week, they're number 31 in total defense, but they gave up just 21 points. Now, if you were to tell me a few seasons ago that Buffalo could win this game, conceivably, I would be like, no, that's preposterous. There's no way it can happen. But when you talk about having a good running back on the team, having wide receiver Percy Harvin, a relentless defense, a defense that recorded the most sacks in the NFL last season with 54, and a team that can really I think is rejuvenated under new head coach Rex Ryan. I think those are some reasons to believe, and they are at home. I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills in an upset over the New England Patriots. Now, the next game, I'm going to take the Cincinnati Bengals at home to defeat the San Diego Chargers. Now, Cincinnati, as many of you may know, is a regular season perennial powerhouse. They might falter in the playoffs, and I know San Diego defeated Cincy the last time they played them in the postseason, but I don't think it's going to happen in regular season. Cincinnati, the last 2 seasons, everything but invincible at home. They've compiled a 13-2-1 record in that span. And San Diego, they put on a very explosive offensive performance last week. I believe quarterback Philip Rivers is number 1 in passing yards. Wide receiver Keenan Allen recorded 166 receiving yards. He had 15 receptions. Those are both tops in the NFL right now. They're number 1 in total offense. That being said, Cincy is at home. They expect to have at least a very good regular season, and I think it continues with the win over San Diego. Next game, I'm going to take the Tennessee Titans on the road to defeat the Cleveland Browns. Now, Tennessee, last week, I know it was against a team that really may not be much better than an expansion team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but who would have thought after 1 week, just 1 week, that quarterback Marcus Mariota would have the highest QBR rating in the NFL. 4 touchdown passes, tied for most in the NFL. And really, the Tennessee Titans look fundamentally sound in all phases last week. It was just a great game for them overall. And somebody on TV had said that Tampa Bay lost to a horrible team. Well, we don't really know that yet. Tennessee did win by 28 points. Can Tennessee really be that horrible? I guess we'll see as the season progresses. Now, Cleveland, on the other hand, they're going to have to go with quarterback Johnny Manziel. I'm a little skeptical about this. Cleveland played no better than an expansion team last week by losing to the Jets in a blowout. And I think Tennessee right now is just the better team. It's just 1 week, but I'm going to take the Titans on the road to prevail. Now, the next game, I'm going to take the New York Giants to win at home over the Atlanta Falcons. Now, the Giants, their defense was very opportunistic last week against Dallas. I understand they lost, but they still, to me, they did play efficiently, even though they did lose the game. The main reason they lost to Dallas last week was their ineptitude toward the end of the game when Eli Manning made an ill-advised throw, and it was incomplete, and it stopped the clock and gave Dallas a pretty good amount of time to get that winning touchdown drive at the end of the game. Now, the clock management was the main adversary for the Giants last week. Now, Atlanta, in a 26-24 victory over Philadelphia, did look very good. Wide receiver Julio Jones amassed 141 yards. Atlanta and the Giants both have 0 sacks. So I think it's imperative to get that pressure on the quarterback on both ends. But Giants are at home, and Eli Manning, I expect to have a very good game and will outduel Matt Ryan, I believe. I'll take the Giants at home. Now the next game, I'm going to take the St. Louis Rams on the road to defeat the Washington Redskins. Now, St. Louis, to me, it's interesting. Their defense looks almost vaunted. I mean, they were number 1 in tackles. They had 92 tackles the last game. Quarterback Nick Foles was efficient. They're tied for at least tied for the NFL lead in sacks. They have 6 sacks, so they're at least, I forget if they're tied or they're number 1 by themselves, but I know they're number 1 one way or the other. And they beat a team, really what I thought was a stellar team in the Seattle Seahawks. Now, Washington, on the other hand, if Kirk Cousins starts, he's 2-8 all time as a starter. That's obviously not very superlative. And the Washington Redskins have lost 8 of 9 regular season games dating back to last season. The team's in a little bit of disarray. I think they're having so much trouble trying to find stability at the quarterback position. They may be at home, but I still believe St. Louis is a little bit better right now, and St. Louis will defeat them and win this game. Now, the next game, I'm going to take the Miami Dolphins on the road to defeat the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, we look at the Miami Dolphins, and Ryan Tannehill is going to be a quarterback. I see slow and steady progression, and we'll probably see gradual improvement week to week. They have safety Rashad Jones. He's one of the league leaders in tackles after 1 week with 12. I think Miami, they're a little overhyped. It seems like the last few seasons people have been saying, well, they have the potential to be an upper echelon team, but it never comes to fruition, and they wind up just finishing with like a mediocre record. But they're still good enough to beat Jacksonville. Jacksonville is right now, they managed a robust 9 points last week. Last season, they were number 31 in total offense and number 32 in scoring offense. They just can't put any points on the board in Jacksonville. And I'm wondering how their defense is going to be in this particular game as well. So I'm taking Miami on the road. Now, the next game, I'm going to take the Baltimore Ravens and maybe the not-so-ravenous defense over the Oakland Raiders. Baltimore quarterback Flacco had no touchdowns last week, very ineffective. He had the lowest QBR rating in the league, 38.2. Outside linebacker Terrell Suggs is out for the season, and just to add insult to abject misery, you look at this team, and I felt they may still be a team that can contend for the Super Bowl, but to me that definitely takes a little bit out of their armor. But they are going against Oakland Raiders, so that could alleviate any problems. I think if there's any cure for losing, it could be the Oakland Raiders. The Raiders were number 32 in total offense 2014 and number 31 in scoring offense, 15.8 points per game. So I'm going to go with take Baltimore in this one. Now, Philadelphia Eagles, Sam Bradford era. Did not get all. Philadelphia, I'm going to take them at home over the Dallas Cowboys. Now, Philadelphia in the Sam Bradford era did not get off to a great start, losing this past week to the Atlanta Falcons on the road. However, they did put up 42 points. I think they're going to get everything together and play cohesively very soon. I do like them to win this game. DeMarco Murray should have a good game. And look at the Dallas Cowboys. Yes, they won last week, but they barely beat the Giants, and a lot of it was attributed to the Giants' ineptitude as far as clock management went at the end of the game. So I am, and the Dallas is going to be without Des Bryant, and that's going to be a little more than just a little detrimental to the team. So I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles at home to win this one. Now the next game, I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers at home to prevail over the Seattle Seahawks. Now Green Bay, they'll be seeking some retribution in this game. They have lost 3 consecutive to Seattle. One was a very tight NFC Championship game last season, and then the other one, many of you may remember, had a controversial ending in which Seattle won very close at the end. And really, it is at Green Bay. Green Bay has won their last 9 consecutive games at home if you count the playoff game last season. And if you count the preseason, they're 12-1 in their last 13. Seattle, to me, they gave up 8 plays of 20-plus yards last week. That does not bode well for them. They may, if Cam Chancellor doesn't come back, this might be a little bit more adverse to the team than originally anticipated. They didn't resemble the Super Bowl team that made the Super Bowl last season to me, and they did allow 6 sacks, and that is tops in the NFL. So their offensive line is going to have to do a much better job if they have any chance in this game. I like Green Bay at home. Now, last but not least, I'm going to take the Indianapolis Colts to win on the road over the New York Jets. Now, Indy, what's interesting with them is they have not really looked very sharp lately. If you count preseason, they've lost. And then the AFC title game last season, they've lost 5 of their last 6. Now, they did start 0-2 last season. Could that be duplicated this season? Possibly. Jets, to me, they might be improved with wide receiver Brandon Marshall and quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick. They might actually be respectable and competitive this season. But Indianapolis is probably, I'm sure they're really simmering after that loss. And this is not a good game for the Jets. The Jets have actually won, I believe, the last 2 versus the Colts, and they've taken the last 3 of 4 versus Indianapolis. So the Jets, being at home, they might make this a little more competitive game than many anticipate. But that all being said, I still like I like Indianapolis, and I like Andrew Luck in this game, and I think it'll be close, but I think the Colts do prevail when it's all said and done. Well, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube NFL prediction segment for my Week 2 NFL picks for the 2015 season. And stay tuned next time where I'll be giving my picks for Week 3. And until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.